So let's talk about your programming and how your current training split looks at the moment. And have you always stuck with the current split that you're doing now throughout your whole career? Because I know some people, you have been training for almost 10 years now. So how is it looking so far, and has it evolved since you were a teenager versus now?
Yep. So I mean, it's pretty much stayed the exact same. I kind of was brought up with the side of the kind of bro split approach, where I would train one body part per session. There was one guy who was a PT at the time in the leisure centre, and he kind of helped me around the training side of things, and obviously gave me a little bit of help at the start just to kind of know what to do and where to go with things. But when I grew up with that, I was watching a lot of things on YouTube, such as obviously at that time, a lot of your bigger names were people like obviously your Jays, your Ronnies and that, who were, yes, they were done, but they were still the main pages. They were the front page of your Flex magazines, etc. So when I was looking at them, it was always like single body part split. So at the time, that was all I knew. And that was what I thought was what you done. You went in, you done chest, you went in the next day, you would hit back, you went in the next day, so on. You would always do the single body part. So that's what I've grew up doing. And my split's not changed. I would say that the days that they've changed in terms of, right, Monday now, so my split now looks like legs, chest, back, which is midweek back, which I'll do like block pulls in. I won't do deadlifts in them. Then I'll do shoulders. And then on Friday, I like to classify this as a more so active rest day. So essentially, this is my main recovery day out of the week. I will go in, I'll do arms, I'll do a little bit of abs. So more so my direct ab work will be on a Friday, and I'll do a little bit of cardio just because I've got nothing else on. There's going to be nothing else that's going to tax me. There's going to be nothing else that's going to ruin me. The session doesn't kill me, and that gives me that additional bit of rest, because on a Saturday, I'm back to a back workout where I will do deadlifts. So deadlifts are the main priority in that back workout. On Sunday, whatever happens on the Tuesday will happen on the Sunday. So then that's 1 week. The following week, whatever happens on the Sunday won't happen on the Tuesday again. So essentially, chest and shoulders are being rotated. So 1 week will be Tuesday shoulders, and then Sunday shoulders, and then the following week will be Tuesday chest, Sunday chest. So 1 week shoulders will get hit twice, the following week it'll only get hit once. But vice versa, 1 week chest will get hit once, the next week it'll get hit twice. And basically, I kind of started running this exact split probably around maybe 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now, and it's just worked wonders. I've enjoyed it. I've been able to stick to it. I can remember it super easy, but my splits always stayed really similar to that in terms of only one body part per session. It's always been that kind of approach. And then that really takes me into the session itself in terms of things like the frequency of that is what it always is. I'm in the gym 7 days out of the 7 week. I'm training obviously not to the full capacity in terms of intensity on the Friday, because that is more so just, right, I'll go in, I'll get an arm pump, I'll do what I need to do, I'll hit abs, hit cardio and get back out. But it's always stayed that way. In terms of training within the gym, on my bigger movements, I'm more so working with maximum 2 working sets. So on them bigger movements, I'm looking at probably a top set and a back off set. When I say move on to maybe my last and final pressing movement, or last and final, more or less last and final pressing movement, on legs, I'm more so still working with 2 working sets, because after 2 working sets all out, I'm absolutely fried. But when I'm pressing, because I feel as if pressing is not really my strongest, I'm always kind of thinking to myself, right, I'm going to try and do a little bit more. But at the same time, again, because I'm not the best at pressing, I don't feel as if it taxes me as much. So by the time I get to maybe my 3rd pressing movement within one session, I'll probably do maybe upwards of 2 to 4 sets on it. So I might just kind of do a really top heavy set, drop it a little bit, do another set, drop it a little bit, do another set, drop it a little bit, do another set. So it's not essentially 4 top end heavy sets of 6 reps. It's more so maybe your top set of 5 to 8 reps, then maybe one of 8 to 12, then maybe one at 12 to 15, and then maybe one at 15 to 20. But they are still working sets. And then as I go on to my isolation work, I'll more so be looking at 2 to 4 sets of all isolation work. That's for even legs, leg extensions, leg curls, things like my pull downs, and then of course things like my flies, lateral raises. I believe in still a high volume approach. I will so just more so treat my heavier compound work as lower volume, and whenever I move on to isolation work, all high volume.
Interesting. So with your 2 to 4 sets, that's per exercise?
Yep.
Okay. So you're hitting things 1 time per week, body part
Yep.
specific. So like, except for what you had mentioned there with the chest or shoulders, depending on the week, and then back as well. Get to
Yep.
twice a week.
Yep.
Okay. And is that because you find that those are your areas that you want to bring up more, or you just find that they require more in order to grow just in general?
I just think in general, they don't ever seem to be at that point where they feel like death to the point of me not being able to do them. And at the same time, over the course of the years of me doing this, my body's adapted to that. Now, again, on me training back twice per week, what I will focus more so on my midweek back session will be big, heavy barbell rows. And then I'll do my back workout, which will be a lot more emphasis on the back workout itself. And then by the end of the session, I will do block pulls, but I don't have a specific goal with block pulls. I just like to put them in at the end for a bit of fun, and they don't jeopardize my recovery. They don't kill me, so I'm fine with that. Whereas when you take me to Saturday, when I do deadlifts, I deadlift first. So a lot of the emphasis on that session goes to deadlifts. Like I will deadlift for upwards of 45 minutes to an hour out of that session. And then by the time deadlifts are done and it's time to move on to my back session, I'll do more so maybe some less taxing movements for back. So I'll maybe do more chest supported stuff for back rather than doing non-supported things such as rows and bigger movements like that. So really that's the difference between them sort of sessions. But at the same time, none of them are tracked either. So for example, midweek back, I'll go in and I'll start with a big heavy compound. So either a T-bar row or a barbell row, finish on my block pulls, but that session in the middle of direct back work, I go by how I feel and I decide what I want to do when I'm in the session.
That makes sense. Listen to your body and see, is it going to be a higher rep focused day? What exercises fit well for you that day in terms of how you feel, and probably some other good stuff that you're going to want to pay attention to. But not to go down that rabbit hole, let's start with the fact that, okay, so you deadlift on the Saturday. Do you find that you need a full recovery day the day after?
No, I'm totally cool on the day after. On a Sunday, I'm good to go for chest or shoulders, whichever one it falls on that day.
Wow. So you really are all in terms of, you don't take any rest days really, except for that arm day, which is kind of like a recovery day. You consider it a recovery day, but you're still going and training pretty hard. Are those sets close to failure on arms as well?
Yeah, they're probably more so closer. You could maybe say there is maybe give or take 1 or 2 full reps in the tank left. I will more so keep them upwards of 12 to 15, 15 to 20 over the course of the full session. I won't do a set of 6 dumbbell curls. You know what I mean? I will keep them to the nice more so 12 to 15. I found that for arm training, that's where my sweet spot is. I find I get on a lot better with them higher rep sets rather than trying to really progress a set of 6 to 8 reps on a bicep curl. So
no, I think a lot can relate with that. Like going really low reps on arms is not something as probably going to be as productive. But yeah. Now, as far as total sets per week in a 7-day period, how many total sets would you say is going towards back specifically?
This is definitely a hard one for me. If I was to tell you an amount of sets, I would probably be lying. This is the thing as well, because like I've said, on them bigger moves, it would be easier to track this if, say, for example, I was only doing 2 sets. Because say I done over the course of one back session, I done maybe 16 working sets, and then I maybe done 12 to 16 that following session. We would know that I would range in between that more so 30 to 40 total sets per week, which again is quite a lot. But at the same time, it's very hard for me to say because of me going by how I feel. I could do 30 to 40 sets this week, and I could then move to do 40 to 50 sets next week, or I could do 20 to 30 sets.
Depending on how you feel.
It depends on how I feel. In that session, I could be feeling extremely good to the point of being like, I'm going to go for another set. Like, this feels really good. I'm going to do another set. Or I could get that feeling from that set and go, right, what shit, like this feels, this is not the day for another set. So the volume could be down.
You know, that's interesting and refreshing, because a lot of people might hear this and think, well, that's not proper programming then, or the progression is not appropriate because it's not moving in this linear fashion like we spoke about. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. Like, obviously you've built an incredible physique. It goes to show that you don't need to follow this systematic approach that many think that they need to, right? So I don't know if you want to chime in on that or if we want to move on, but it's interesting, right?
I fully agree. I'm 100% behind you on that one.